Welcome back to the Reflection Show with me, Martha Inspires. Like I said earlier on, we are looking at the rise in adolescent substance abuse. You know, we want to centralize or focus our conversation. Even though adults or older men might be abusing substances, but today our focus is on the adolescent, the teenagers, how we can help them. Thank you so much for joining me, Mr. Alex. Please introduce yourself. I can't mention your surname, so just
it's so normal. Anyway, I'm Alexander Jimpite, and I'm glad to also be here for the first time on the Reflection Show.
Thank you for coming. So, for the work that I do, I come across a lot of adolescents that share a lot of challenges with us. Sure. And then we say that most of them, or we see that most of them are abusing substances. But before then, let's take from the professional perspective. When we talk about substance abuse, what do we mean, or what is the substance, the kind of substance we shouldn't abuse?
Okay. Substance abuse, I think when we go into the layman's understand, we all know it as drug abuse. And with the layman, talking about drug abuse, we tune our mind to just only the abuse of certain drugs like heroin and then the rest. But substance abuse largely has to do with the haphazard abuse or usage of any other substance in a psychopathway or to psychic your mind to work beyond the standard or the level that the brain and should work. So when we talk about substance abuse, largely we are looking at you inducing the brain to work beyond its normal capacity. So that's what substance abuse.
And we are saying that most young people abuse some of these drugs. What are some of the common, let me say, give us some examples of some of the things they commonly abuse, some of the substances. Sometimes I don't really like to mention them because it's like, as much as you're having a conversation, it's like we're informing them of some of the names.
That's true.
But just take us to like 2 or 3 so that at least those who don't know can know the effects of those substances.
Okay. The commonly used substances, we'll start from alcohol. Most people start from there.
Alcohol.
And alcohol, they rise to cigarettes, which are they are common in the market. Cigarettes, then we go to the popular one, which is the marijuana or heroin. And then the person graduates to other stages. Now we have so many of them in the market that they use to the point a new one has been introduced, which they call it K2. So as we go along the conversation, we'll get to know some of these things. So the commonly used ones, for a beginner, the person starts from alcohol.
When we start with the 2%,
exactly,
the 5%, 10, 20%.
Then as the body or the system gets used to that, then it rises to another level. And the person now looks for higher standards to keep the body running. So the commonly used one, we have the alcohol, we have the marijuana. These are the 2 commonly used substances. Exactly.
So in alcohol, sometimes almost every child has tasted alcohol. I remember when I was much younger, I used to live like in a compound house. Somebody would send you, go and buy me akweteshi. But because we used to have those bottles, small bottles. When you are also coming, you open small and just take a sip and those kind of things. So it's probably start from there. But let's look at the parents. What will parents do to help us not to even talk less of getting to the point to abuse it? And also, how would a parent know? What are some of the signs that a parent will see in an adolescent girl or boy to show that probably they should pay much attention to me because I might be abusing some substances?
Okay. So let's start from the signs, then we'll now move on to how we can control that. So the first sign you see in most adolescents who are abusing substances is the aggressive nature. The aggressive nature. Most of them tend to be very aggressive. Then you begin to, question for some of them who are very reserved. If you have a kid who is very reserved, then you begin to see that the person is rising from that reserved nature into being very aggressive. Question marks must be raised there. Then secondly, from the aggressive, they become so proactive. Some kids become so proactive. Not necessarily mean that all proactive kids fall under that category. Some of them become so proactive, and others become so violent. You understand? So if you have a kid that you begin to see some of the signs, then brain loss, some of them become dull. They don't have that retentive memory again. The IQ slows down. So if your kid begins to show these signs, you need to start seeking medical help. And you need to also start checking the child's lifestyle. And sometimes most parents, especially with our environment here where we take things lightly, you know, the time, it's not really there for parents to sit steady their kids. But then, as a parent, you should know how your kid relates with you. So if you begin to see that the child is moving away from that, I move around with kids a lot and I study them a lot. So I see that this kid is this way. Then I begin to see that, no, this kid is falling back this way. You need to ask questions. What is happening? But some parents become so relaxed. You understand? So these are some of the signs and how we can deal with it. Again, parents must, move away from that. Like you said, when we're kids growing up, sending children underage to buy
alcohol, even cigarettes.
Cigarette. I mean, come on. We can do better.
And sometimes they'll warn you that if you are coming, make sure you don't open it, so make sure you don't drink it. So, but when I bring it, I see what you do with it.
Exactly. And for a kid, they have that curious mind. The child will want to try and see, okay, dad or mom or whoever, uncle takes this. And when uncle takes it, or maybe dad takes it, he becomes so active. So let me also try and see, how does it work? What does it do to the body? So these are some of the curious questions that the child will raise in the mind and would want to try and see. Then it begins from there. And some parents even go to the point of, going to take alcohol with their kids.
That's true.
Exactly, which is so bad.
And some also tell that, you are not a man, you are not growing up. Exactly. You don't take alcohol.
Yeah.
So now let's move from the parents who come, they look at the peers. Yeah. How do I know that my peers might be in alcohol or substance abuse, that kind of thing? How should I avoid them?
Exactly.
And what role do the peers really play, and how can parents also avoid us being with such peers?
Exactly. Yes, definitely. Each individual, when you choose friends, these are your class, your social class of people you want to mingle with. Definitely, you know what they are into, especially their habits, what they enjoy doing.
Yeah.
So individually, you need to ask yourself serious questions. As young people growing up, you need to ask yourself serious questions. You need to look at your peers. If somebody is taking this, you look at, has the person risen to a particular standard or a particular level that you think that eliminating the person, you would also rate that standard. Yeah. For youthful exuberance, kids or adolescents always want to be in a particular class with their peers. So, of course, my friend is doing this. I also want to try to be part of them. But the question is the end result.
The end result.
You need to look at it. So if you see those stands, you need to question yourself. Where are you heading towards? These are the questions you need to ask. And we have so many examples of people who have abused this drugs till their old age. Yeah. And you ask yourself, has there been any good news written about them? You understand? So as young people watching us, you need to choose your friends very well. And when you find out that your friends, your colleagues in the same social class are into those things, desist from it. Pull back. For some kids, they have that confidence level to take a bold decision, to say, no, I would work with my peers, but I will not
do this.
But for some kids who have that low self-esteem and confidence, you need to seek for mentorship, advice. Somebody who would guide you to work with them. You understand? And for parents, you need to show interest with the sort of friends that your children are with. Exactly.
Now, let's look at the schools. What role do you think the school can play to help us to reduce adolescent substance abuse?
Great. Wow. This is a very interesting and a very delicate question because currently the educational system in Ghana, when we look at it largely, though kids spend much time in school, but a certain right have been taken away from most schools to inculcate certain disciplinary measures as to how to, especially in the public schools. If it is in the private sector, we see, them coming up with so many strict discipline rules to guide these kids. But when it's in the public sector, we have a lot of challenge. We have a lot of challenge because for some kids, they learn these things at home. Then they come to school, and because of the population, teachers sometimes cannot have control
over everyone.
That's one. Two, in the public sector, it's like the teacher has no right over the child.
You can't punish a child.
You can't punish the child. I mean, personally, I've had instances where a teacher tries to discipline a student for going off board, then the parents attack. You see, so for one or two reasons, some of these issues have made teachers or schools to relax in those areas of how to control. But then what we should do, I mean, you and I growing up, we used to have guidance and counseling sections or departments in schools where they help children.
But even at that, when they say you are going to the guidance and counseling office, it's like you've done something so big. Exactly. You're going to but we grew up to understand that it's a normal thing to go to a counselor.
A counselor, it's normal. And moving from our level to now, it's almost like you visit most public schools and those departments are no longer operating. So for some of us, we are calling that, at least let's put that back. Let's put that back to help these kids.
Or you have a guidance and counseling teacher who is also a teacher of a subject. So the time that you want to have a conversation, you say, oh, the master is in class. The master is in class. And sometimes I'm like, that's a double work. Why don't they probably give like a different job, like a counseling unit, and have the kids go to them anytime from, let's say, 8 a.m. to say 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. It hasn't happened.
It hasn't happened, and that is one of the failures that we are facing. So, like you rightly said, we need to have the guidance and counseling department separated from the working or the staff, like the teaching staff. So, the person who is a counselor in that department should just be there, purposely for that. You get it. Now, a teacher, you walk into a classroom, you know some of your students. You are handling them. You see that a particular student is falling back or maybe a change in behavior. You can approach the child. Children by their nature, I always say, they are almost like, for those of us who are very religiously inclined and we are closer to God, children by nature are like that. You go to them with an open heart. They easily open up to you. But if you try to force them to do things, they will not. So as a teacher, you should also try to check out some of these things. We know that their work is very tedious, but at least they should help. And parents should also help teachers. Maybe at home, you've noticed that there is a fall in character of your child, and you feel that you can't control. Maybe the child is closer to the teacher. You can reach out. You can reach out for the teacher to help out. So I think some of these measures will help us.
Okay. Parents who abuse drugs themselves, can you help us with some strategies they can, some maybe now they can't stop.
Okay, yeah.
But they also know that it is wrong to have their kids abuse such drugs. how can a parent who is unable to stop taking hard substances or hard drugs help? I don't know why I'm asking this question, but someone who is not able to stop, maybe they have to hide and do it, but at least how can such parents still help their adolescent kids not to have that? You know, some people don't even know that what they are doing is so wrong, but they can't stop, and because of that, they don't want their kids to come. I remember there was a story that I heard of a father with 2 sons. The father was drunk, like the father, people when we say drunk, people that can get drunk and fall into the gutters and like he's an alcoholic. He had 2 sons, and they asked the sons, so one took after the father and one had never tasted alcohol and is very successful in whatever he's doing. And they asked the sons, how come that one, you are also like an alcoholic? And he said, I watched my father. And the other one who doesn't take alcohol said, I watched my father. And I'm like, all of you watched your father, but how come that one is an alcoholic like the father and one is not? And the one who is not said that, I watched my father and I saw his lifestyle. I saw the embarrassments he brought to himself and the family. And because of that, I didn't want to do that. But the other one said, I watched my father and whatever he's doing, I'm copying him. So 2 of them watched their father, but one understood it from a different perspective, and another also understood it from the other perspective. So now to parents, how do we or how can a parent help their child to watch them, but in the right perspective and not end up like that?
Okay, it's a wonderful question, but obviously a sick person cannot heal themselves, neither helping others to heal. So it's embedded upon relatives, the society. We need to build that system. Our social welfare department must be very proactive in cases like this. Like you rightly said in this month's case, the social welfare department should have helped out. We should be checking some of these things. But it's like, I know there are challenges too, but they should rise up. So somebody who is abusing drugs definitely cannot help, because mentally, psychologically, the person has been psychic to believe that that is the right way to go. So obviously that person cannot advise or teach another person to abstain, because to the person it's normal. It's normal to do that. But then people around should be the ones to help the person heal. For instance, when we look at this popular the late Whitney Houston and then the daughter's case, you see that at a point the family came in, but the daughter also just, you know, because she has abused the substance to a level she cannot become normal. You get it, because both parents were into it. So parents that have abused the drugs to a certain level, definitely they can't help the kids to abstain. They will definitely, it will take 1 or 2 of the kids to see, like you said in the other son's case, to see that no, the lifestyle of my parents, it's not good. Let me to a different direction to bring something good to the family. Exactly. But for some of the kids that are not, they do not have that high self-esteem or confidence level, they will toe the same line. So we need our social welfare department to be proactive. Society, families, friends, you need to help.
And not just be like, me, I'm minding my business.
Exactly.
That is their family issue. Exactly. If they can't handle it.
Currently, I have a case that I'm still helping a bit, because I can't imagine a father, a mother, they abuse alcohol. Not just normal alcohol, but the dry gin, which is apathesia as we know it. And they have a 4-year-old kid. And as I speak, this kid cannot take Coke. The kid does not take Coke. 4-year-old girl. She does not take Coke. She does not take any soft drink. She takes apathesia, Golda, club beer. These are reality.
4-year-old?
A 4-year-old kid.
Wow.
She abuses alcohol like. The first time
they are abusing it on her behalf.
Exactly. So, and the father, anytime he goes out to drink, he will buy some of the apathesia home to give to the wife and the daughter. To him, it's normal. And this is a 4 years.
And it's probably causing harm to her let me say, her health.
Her health. But they can't abstain. So they will need an extra hand, positive, to at least help them come out of that. If they cannot stop, at least the little girl should not. And the first time I met the scenario and I was complaining, the man boldly told me that, oh, when she grows up, you know our usual African way of doing things. Oh, when she grows up, she'll decide for herself. But it's addictive. So if she has started taking it at 4 years.
Not 14.
Not 14. Oh. So by 7, 8, I mean, the time it's normal to her. That will now become her food.
I want us to look at counseling steps. When you find out that your adolescent child is on alcohol, how to go by the step. But I want us to take a break, and when we are back, we look at that. Right. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Books by Pastor A.L. Fant. They are inspired by the Holy Spirit, simple to comprehend, relevant in application, and so lovely to read. Grab copies like Dynamics of Kingdom Influence, Dynamics of Ministry, Mark is King for Church Workers, Money Matters, and she calls herself a woman. This marriage must work. No more curses. Loaded mouth. Secrets of Kingdom Dominion. The exploits of service. Things fall apart. Church without bleeding pulpit. Singles mingle, and many more.
From the break, we are still learning how we can help our adolescent boys and girls to abstain or stay away from substance abuse. You know, anytime I say abstain, the next sentence I want to come from my mouth is abstain from sexual intercourse. So when I said abstain, I was like, oh, you need to be smart about it before you say something else. So let's look at counseling. First of all, let's look at what is counseling and why we need counseling for substance abuse, and probably why should not everybody might be a professional counselor, but everybody might find themselves in situations whereby they will meet an adolescent who is abusing some substances. Africans are used to beating and shouting and probably making noise about you to the whole community that you abuse drugs. But let's look at the steps in counseling. How can counseling help the adolescent?
Well, counseling helps. It does helps a lot, and how we can go about it. You know, people who abuse drugs or substances, they need friends, like a friendly atmosphere to be able to pour out their hearts, to express themselves. So if you're harsh to them, literally you're telling them that there's no room for you. You need to create your own world. We all know this popular musician, let me hold the name for now, but he feels that, okay, the music industry here does not accept him, so he needs to create his own world. And we've all followed him. We've seen that he has created that world for himself. And he has a lot of followers. And they all almost behave like him. But then if he had somebody who could open up for him to come in and express himself, what is his pain? Why do you go to do that? It's not everybody that is abusing substance because of youthful exuberance, or maybe they want to explore, they are curious. No, it's not everybody. For some adolescents, it's due to certain, pressures.
Yeah.
Maybe broken home.
Yeah.
Sometimes peer influence. Sometimes, the hardship on the street. If you go to our streets right now, midnight, you find children sleeping on tables. And so when life becomes tough for them, then they resort to that. So first of all, we need to create that enabling environment where a kid can just walk up to you and say, hey, dad, hey, ma, hey, uncle, this is my problem. How do I go about it? The child needs to come to you first. That is what I have seen. If you approach the child always feel, or let's say somebody who abuses substances, if you are the person approaching them first, often they feel you've not accepted them.
And you want to judge them.
So we need to create that environment where they feel like they should come to a realization that, no, what I'm doing is not right. Let me seek for help. And if I go to this department, they will be sure to welcome me. But when we have that harsh environment, the person feels like there's no room for me here. So that's where the person now falls into the wrong hands of fake religious people who would say, oh, it's this person, it's that person, and so many abuses. So the person follows those stands and ends up and say that no result for me, then the person falls back and become worse off.
Yeah.
So first of all, we need to start with creating that enabling environment, enabling atmosphere, that the person will feel welcome to open up, to express themselves, so that we'll know how to handle the situation. Yeah.
Now, how do I, if I meet someone and I meet a young person who is probably taking drugs, maybe on the spot, or a young person comes to me with a challenge and it is because they are on hard drugs, or you even meet a young person whose parents are probably insulting or abusing them because they are abusing substances. How can I talk to the parents so like you also mentioned, there's a 4-year-old child who is being, let me say, parents are abusing the child with substance. How did you approach it so that if anyone watching who has such an instance, how do they also approach certain families who have that issue, and how can they help them?
Okay. So the first step, like I keep saying, you need to be a comfort zone for the person, not necessarily talking about what they are doing, but you need to find another alternative. Okay, what is their hobby? Sometimes what is the other aspect of them that is positive? Then you channel your energy there, begin to focus on building that. Then as you get along, the person now sees that, okay, you are introducing me to a different lifestyle.
Yeah.
The person now begins to weigh the two, you and then the other person that is introducing them to the substance or whatever it is. So now when the person gets to know that, okay, you are of a different value, they begin to open up to you. But sometimes when you approach them and you want to talk about what they are doing, like I already said, they will feel you are judging. And so for them to open up, it's difficult. So from the professional counseling, if we had, though I'm not a professional counselor, if we had a professional counselor, the person will let you know that, okay, first you need to be a friend.
Yeah, okay.
You understand, you need to be a friend. Now, how do you become a friend? If I begin to criticize your hairstyle, it means I'm not becoming. Exactly. I need to rather channel and say, oh, this your jacket, your shoes, they are nice. This, it's nice. So I focus on the positive of you. And as I build it, you begin to see that, okay, this is a different value.
Or someone you can talk to, trust.
Exactly.
Sometimes they just need to feel comfortable with you. I remember there was a young lady I was talking to, and sometimes we are just quick to judge.
Exactly.
So like this 4-year-old girl, she's 14, she's 15, she's taking alcohol. No one knows how it started. We just start by insulting her and say that you were a bad girl. So I feel like sometimes we should also be able to get close to them, focus on the positives that they have, and when they allow us into their world, then they would even let us know a lot of things that we may not be able to know about.
That's true. That's absolutely true. For some of them, you visit their ghettos and you realize that I encountered one some time back, and he was driving a yellow. But then the drugs makes him, he's not able to account for his sales. Because as he's selling, he's visiting the forest. So at the end of the day, he owes the master. Then when I encountered him, I decided to be like a financial support to him, advisor to him, like an accountant. Okay, so your daily sales, don't keep it to yourself. When you just get the money, let a friend save it in his or her momo. At the end of the day, the friend accounts to your boss. And that was helping him. So at the end of the day, he decided to tell me that. He came to me and said, Master Alex, you know, in Dabani, this drugs that he's taking is really affecting him. Then I said, does he take drugs? I pretended as if I didn't know what was happening. Do you take drugs? Then he said, yes. Oh, he can't live without it. Every minute he has to enter the forest. Then I began to ask, what caused it? Then he told me after he lost his mom, you know, the dad married 3 women, that's 3 wives. And after he lost his mom, that comfort wasn't there, that care wasn't there. And that drove him to the streets. And he used to sleep at Abu Abu, the street there. And that's where he learned the hard life.
So you see, some of these things are not just done because they want to.
They want to.
But really, the first try, it gave them some kind of relief. And they felt that they can continue in that regard.
I mean, it's so true. You know, alcohol, when you take it, it opens your brain.
The first time I took Shandy, I got drunk. 2014. In fact, you know, Shandy used to look like Alvaro.
That's true.
So the first time, I thought it was Alvaro. So it was 2014 Christmas. I don't know why I was 2014 Christmas. And they said, oh, let's go out. And then it was, we used to stay in a immigration barracks. And then we went and sat somewhere with some of the officers and their families and all that. And they were like, oh, that is a ladies' drink. And when I saw the bottle, sincerely, I thought it was a drink like Alvaro. By the time I took like half a glass, I wasn't seeing anything. They were like, what is wrong with you? So that was when I think it was a 2 or 5% alcohol. And I'm like, hey, Shandy, and they really teased me. And I'm glad at that time people were not so common with the smartphone. At least right now, if it was these days, like my video would have been running on social media. So from there, before I take any drink, even if you tell me, unless like Coke or series, I'm sure that it's a soft drink. If it's a new drink I want to try, I'll either Google or look on the bottle. Even if it's 0.5% alcohol, I won't take, because the way the Shandy told me there, I don't think my sister can handle any alcohol.
It entered you.
It entered me. So I think that, so let's look at some of the health implications. I think I saw a story on Facebook just a few days ago where a man was saying he attended a colleague's burial. And then this was a guy who was full of lies, taking alcohol, taking meat, taking cigarette, all the things. And he began to have lung cancer. Let me not go into it, but just tell us some of the effects so that our adolescents can know that taking so much alcohol can really affect us.
One of the effects that a lot of people don't talk about, it's your psychic, your brain.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you lose your sense of reasoning. That's the most dangerous thing to every human being. When you lose your sense of reasoning, you lose your focus in life. You understand? And so you look at people who abuse that, even with the adult range. A lot of them. Yesterday in the afternoon, as it was raining along the King David stretch, I was coming from town on my motor. A police officer, he was off duty. He drank. I mean, just at the junction there, this man was lying there in the middle of the road. People were passing by.
This is the
embarrassment.
He's lucky. Maybe he can argue he was off duty, but even with still, if they find that you can be crazy.
Exactly. So I didn't know him, so I got down to help. Then other people who saw that I stopped to help, they ran and then came. So one other person was passing with a yellow and stopped and said, "This is a police officer disgracing himself like that." This is one of the things that we're talking about: substance abuse. Probably he started from childhood and now he can't stop. You understand? Apart from maybe your lungs, your whatever, we have to look at the psychological aspect very, 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 very serious. We need to take it very serious. A lot of people think that, okay, when I take those substances, I'm able to work actively. But as you graduate, you lose your psychic, you lose your mental capacity to control certain actions. You understand? And that's where we now see some of these social vices happen. I mean, somebody dated a lady, they broke up. You go, shoot the person. It's out of all these things. People are losing it.
We all need to start having guns in our... And there was a story just recently in the news. A lady got 2 house helps. I think they went to him begging for a job and stuff. He employed them and they stabbed him to death.
That is it. Because with you and I...
They stabbed her to death.
With you and I who have a sense of reason intact, I don't think we'll be bold enough to do that.
Because when he was arrested, he was practically begging and said that he has, I think he stole some properties, that he has the money, some of the things are in, that they should take it and leave him. And I was like, are you mad? Are you going to retain the person's body or something?
Exactly. So the health benefits, they are numerous, but the psychological aspect is always what I focus on. Because every human being, the engine of your life, it's this. When you lose it, you've lost everything. You've lost everything. You can be living, but you're dead already because you can't make any choice. So to any young person watching us, you need to desist if you are in it. You need to look for solution. You need to seek for help to, get out of it. If not, the future, it will be difficult for you to grab it. All right.
Now, with the cultural perspectives in our homes, let's come to the very local setting in our homes. How can some of our parents know? Because some people might, like when they are a bit reserved and all of those things. But when you come to, let's say, a normal community in Tamale, how will a mother or a father know, or how can they help them? Because they are actually those who are usually used to shouting on them and even attributing it to spiritual stuff. Of course, there can be spiritual indications or effects of that, but how can we help those people and not attribute everything, carrying them to prayer camps, carrying them to places where they have to pray for them and all that? But how can they also help them in their own little way? By not demonizing or spiritualizing these things,
So first, growing up, we had this, should I say, cultural or traditional setting or we used to have a society where we are each other's keepers. And along the line, I understand the economic pressure people need to run around to make ends meet. But I think there's the need we return back to that. That is the pivot of the whole thing. Back then, we had people checking on each other, and families were so connected that if Alex changes in behavior, 1 or 2 person would be able to correct me and identify that no, there's something wrong with this gentleman. You understand? So we need to first go back to that setting. Secondly, I keep emphasizing on that friendly environment where people, we've grown past that stage where we have to make life in Africa look like a jungle where you must always be harsh to people to correct them. Everybody needs a friend. Everybody needs a friend. Everybody has a psychological problem, a mental problem that they need somebody to be able to tell them that despite what you're going through, I'm there for you. Open up. Let's see how we can find solutions. You understand? So when we create that environment, people will be able to walk up. Children will be able to, gladly go sit with their parents, talk to their parents about what is happening. You understand? For those of us who come from the slums and the ghettos, life there is harsh. You understand? So they usually think that everything must be the harsh way.
Harsh way, harsh manner.
No. Let's look at how we can help these younger ones. And we saw the instance of what happened in, I think, Lamachegu, or is it Abu Enclave? You understand? It's as a result of, we not creating an environment where people can express themselves. It's basically just about the atmosphere. I believe that if you pick you know, somebody who is abusing a substance, if you pick that person and put in an atmosphere where it's trouble-free and it's very friendly, the person will be able to cope. So that's why such people, we take them to the what do you call it, the psychiatric hospital.
Homes, yeah.
So that they have that environment where they will not be judged, nobody would be harsh on them, so that they can freely, you know, flow and express themselves. For the psychologist to be able to tell, okay, this is your problem, and this is how we can help. So I think parents need to, you know, draw closer than being far and feeling that, okay, I need to go out there, fight to get, you know, food on the table. But at the end of the day, if you get the food and then you lose the kid, you've not done anything.
We are chasing money. You know, sometimes it's very funny or interesting. We cry that we don't have kids. God give us kids, and we are now complaining of the time or the attention we have to give them because we are now chasing the money. And I'm like, okay, we just need to compromise. No matter what, we need kids and we need to develop the children. And unfortunately in Africa, once you get married, within 3 months, you're looking at your stomach. Are you pregnant? Are you pregnant? So, and sometimes they don't really ask parents whether they are ready or probably medically if they are able to. And I think that can also make some parents even be on these drugs. I want us to take a breather, and when we are back, we conclude. Stay tuned.
Books by Pastor A.L. Fant. They are inspired by the Holy Spirit, simple to comprehend, relevant in application, and so lovely to read. Grab copies like Dynamics of Kingdom Influence, Dynamics of Ministry, Mark is King for Church Workers, Money Matters, and she calls herself a woman. This marriage must work. No more curses. Loaded mouth. Secrets of kingdom dominion. The exploits of service. Things fall apart. Church without bleeding pulpit. Singles mingle, and many more.
From the break, it's been an amazing conversation today, looking at how we can help adolescents away from substance abuse. Mr. Alex, let's wrap up on this. What are some of the final words you want to share with us in every aspect, to parents, to teachers, to we ourselves, young people, to people that might stand in as counselors or advisors to some of these young people, and the young people themselves? What do they do? Maybe somebody is out there who wants to come out from that predicament. What can they do?
Well, let me start from the ground zero. That's the society. We keep saying that a nation that does not pay much interest to its youth, obviously, it's not a nation that will become a great nation. So we need the youth to take over the leadership mantle. Without them, we're not going to have the next generation of leaders. So as a society, we need to build that, you know, that platform where the younger ones would be groomed into becoming better future leaders. And with this topic we are discussing, it's very serious. We have so many of our youth that are now drifting into this substance abuse, and it's becoming like a norm. You understand? So we need to build that platform where we would help, if not completely kick it out, but minimize it. And to parents, please, the children are important. Once you bring them to this planet Earth, they are now your projects, not your lives. Because for most parents, they think that, okay, just bringing a child into existence, that's all. In Africa,
that's true. Just give birth.
Yeah, you give birth.
But by the time the child is 2 years, hey, why is second born? By the time the child is 3 years,
when you question them, they say it's God that takes care of human being. Yes, it's God that takes care of a human being, but it is your responsibility. It's through you that child was brought onto this planet Earth. So you need to be there until the person becomes a full-grown adult. You know, living in the right society, doing the right thing. So we need to help them. We need to create that environment. We need to create that bond that we can help these kids. To teachers, don't just think your job is to go teach ABCD. I've been a teacher before. In a classroom, it's interesting that some students will not, they don't have that connection with their parents. It's you, the teacher.
That's true.
So a teacher, when you enter the class, you're not just a teacher to impact knowledge, but to groom the child. In as much as you can, try, if not all the students, but try at least one or two. You can help out. So please, teachers, help.
Yeah.
And largely to the government, the social department, welfare department, we need you. The right institutions that are responsible, we need you for. Let's stop complaining that government hasn't given us funds. In our individual way, how do we build this nation? So I will plead with everybody, that every stakeholder. Now, hugely, the youth themselves. Life, it's not just about today.
Yeah.
I keep telling people, as you grow, that is where you define life. So you can start well and end poorly.
Yeah.
You can also start poorly and end very well. It all depends on the choices you make at the right time and right moment. You understand? So let's stay off these drugs. It does not add anything to our life.
Yeah.
All this, I'm taking it to have this swag or whatever. At the end of the day, you become something else that you
It's only temporal. If you are taking it because you want to improve on certain aspects of your life or of your daily work,
exactly.
At some point it becomes so addictive. You can't still do that without that.
Exactly. And as you grow, like I keep saying, the human body is programmed like a computer. A computer, if you don't, what do we call it? The computer scientists, they are here. If you don't have antivirus, even our phones, if you don't have antivirus in it, and you keep inserting pen drives that have viruses, at the end of the day, the computer will wear down. That's the same way with the human body. Naturally, you're supposed to take certain things that will make the body stay, for a longer period and work actively in a natural way. But once you introduce something that it's not natural, as you grow, you wear off. And I keep telling people, look at even the wrestlers, this WWE and Arnold Schwarzenegger and co. Now you look at them, are you happy? At their old age, you look at them, they look so weird.
But they've taken a lot of
taken a lot of those substances, the gymming and all those things. It's good to gym and then look good, but also be mindful of this.
It's true, over gymming is not good, over exercising.
So my advice to the youth, please stay off this hard drugs. Stay off. If you're into it and you need the help, please just walk up to the right. The channels are there. I mean, Matter Inspires Foundation is there. You can look out for them on social media. Now, when you go on social media, you can find a lot of counselors there doing a great job that you can link up with to help you out. You understand? Drugs, it's not good. It's not good at all.
It's not good. Thank you so much for really coming to help us. We've had a very great conversation. We've been looking at adolescents, the rise in adolescent substance abuse, and I pray that this conversation that we've had with you can help you at least minimize or reduce or even completely stop, and also encourage parents to see how they can help their adolescent children not to be addicted to taking some of these substances, because it's not good for us at all. This episode is supported by NORSAC under the BOSS project that we are implementing. Matter Inspires Foundation, in partnership with NORSAC, is implementing the BOSS project, Bold to Speak Out. So we are asking every young person to be bold to speak out, because we need to be outstanding. And we know that there are several factors that young people face. If you've watched our previous episodes before this episode, we spoke about the role of young people, the role of parents, parents, fathers and mothers in reducing teenage pregnancy. So teenage pregnancy is something that is really affecting us so much than the drug aspect. So when discussing teenage pregnancy, we found out that substance abuse is one way or kind of way that plays a role in increasing the number of teenage pregnancies. So we are saying that let's tackle substance abuse and see how together we can reduce the number of young people who are getting pregnant at a teenage age, and also reduce the number of young people who are abusing hard substances. And when this is done, it can go a long way to help. So we say thank you to the Martha Inspires Foundation, and thank you to our partner NORSAP for helping us to implement this project effectively and efficiently. Thank you for watching. I'll be back with thoughts. I am Martha Inspires. Welcome to Thoughts from Martha Inspires. Drugs abuse, substance abuse, taking hard drugs, and not taking care of yourself is one way that we can destroy ourselves as young people. A lot of energy drinks are in the market. I'm not leaving that out because it's one of the things that is destroying us as young people. We need to be careful with the kind of drugs we take. I'm not really sure about peer pressure, because now you don't even know which peer is influencing which peer, because there's social media. We are all on social media and we all understand the benefits, or let me say the consequences of some of these things that we take. So please, if you're a young person watching me who is taking drugs and you need help, ask your parents, ask your counselors, ask your teachers, or you can get in touch with the Martha Inspires Foundation, especially if you are in Tamale, and we can help you with our professional health practitioners who are on standby to help every young person who is looking for ways and means to stay away from substance abuse. To parents who are already taking alcohol, make sure you are taking this alcohol when your kids or your children are not around. Once they watch you, there is a high tendency they will copy you to also take these hard substances. Let's desist from that and try to be good parents, because we need to raise great future leaders. I believe that this episode has helped you. This episode and this little thoughts of mine that I have shared with you will go a long way to transform the lives of our adolescent girls and boys. Thank you for watching. I am Martha Inspires. Do have a good night.